Hi, I'm Lena Hall, and you're listening to The Art of Kindness.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to The Art of Kindness, where we have compassionate conversations with artists from all areas of the entertainment industry who are using their voice to spread joy and make this big spinning planet in the universe a better place to be. I'm Robert Peterpaul, and I'm so glad you're here.
Lena, Bobina, Banana, Nana, Fofina, Lena, Lina, Lena, LOL. You'll get that joke later. Hello, friend. I'm so grateful you've joined me here in Connecticut. Yes, we record in Connecticut, and we're talking with another Connecticut local today, who also happens to be, an acclaimed artist on one of the country's top streaming series. Today's guest is Lena Hall. Lena is perhaps best known for her Tony-winning turn in Hedwig and the Angry Inch. She also appeared on Broadway in Kinky Boots, 42nd Street, Tarzan, and the recent Off-Broadway revival of Little Shop of Horrors. Lena's graced our screens in 4 seasons of AMC's Snowpiercer and is now back on TV with one of my favorite new shows. Lena currently stars opposite Jon Hamm in the Apple series that you're likely binging, Your Friends and Neighbors, and maybe binging it with your friends and your neighbors. See what I did there? There's a new episode tonight, I believe. Well, depending on when you're tuning in to this. Lucky for us all, Lena's character gets to perform some old favorites and new material that Lena wrote herself throughout the series. To our delight, she released an EP and album of her music from Your Friends and Neighbors. You can check that out in our show notes. Speaking of, you can also head to our social media and YouTube pages from there to see video from this conversation. Now, without further ado, please enjoy the lovely Lena Hall. You look like you're in this just like dreamy place right now. Are you at home?
Yeah, I have a house up in Connecticut that I bought before the pandemic. And so it is bright here, like sunny.
Yeah.
It's the perfect day.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful day. And I think we already had a little cameo from, is that a dog in the back?
Yes, that's my dog child. That's Dagny.
Oh, hi, baby girl. Good
Yeah,
boy.
she's huge. She's a Great Dane Labrador mix, so she's a giant dog.
We might have a cameo from one of my cats. They're not giant and they're not dogs, but they will try and bust through the door. So
Okay.
just to warn you, Lena. But I have to say, I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm such a big fan of your work. And I think, obviously, I admire your talent, but I've just also really admired over the years the way you speak so openly. Like when I think of artists speaking openly, I feel like you've really come into this place where you talk about navigating the business in a really real way. And I've like gone on TikTok and seen you live talking even about kindness, which is what this podcast is all about, or sometimes the lack thereof, which, happens in this business too. Okay, we can be real. So I appreciate that about you a lot. And I'm happy to talk with you today.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. I had no idea. Well, that's cool. I
Yeah.
thought no
I
one
also
saw
like
those
to-
TikTok things.
Listen, we be scrolling. Hey. I also love your sweater. So
Thank you
there
very
we
much.
go.
Oh,
Now
thank you.
I'm just going to keep complimenting you this entire time.
I love it. It's better than therapy, right?
That's true. Let me cross my legs and get my notebook out.
This is vintage. I got it at a thrift store in San Francisco on the Haight-Ashbury. So
Oh, it's sweet.
yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
The vintage stuff is cool because I like to pretend I'm into that stuff, which I am, but I'm just like, I don't really do it enough to really say that. It always has a story. Like I feel like it comes with a history. So you
Yeah.
don't know who you're conjuring right now, but it's a good presence.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Also, I will say if you want to get more into vintage shopping, there's like, if you ever get a chance to be in Vancouver, Canada, their vintage stores are unpicked because
Really?
everyone in Canada wears the same thing. So anything that's like outside of the regular what is worn every day, it's just like cheap and unpicked. There's fabulous, crazy things available there that you're like, why did no one buy this? And why is
Oh,
it only 35 Canadian dollars? That's like free. So,
we all got to get to Canada. I'm going to write that down.
yeah,
That's great.
Vancouver.
I'm not picturing Doug Funnies just like walking around because you said everyone wears the same thing. I don't know if that reference is going to go over
It
anybody's
does.
head.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, Doug. Maybe that wasn't your Jen. The TV show Doug with
Oh,
the green
Doug. Yes.
sweater.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I thought I was on an island for a second.
No,
But
you're
I
good.
will
Yes.
say
Yep.
the first question I always like to ask here after I like accost people with genuine compliments is how are you at accepting compliments? Because I feel like it's something you get in this industry, but it's like also a tricky thing sometimes, depending on your state.
I'm terrible at
You
accepting.
did a good job.
It's like learned, anytime someone gives me a compliment, I kind of roll my eyes like I'm like, there's no way they're telling me the truth. It's this weird thing that I have where I have a horrible, horrible time accepting compliments because I feel like a critique is what's true and a compliment is just a lie. Um
Interesting.
and and I don't know, maybe that's because I grew up in the ballet world where, every little thing is critiqued because it's such this, perfectionist kind of art form that is
Yeah.
just it's impossible. Like it's impossible to become it. Well, no one's perfect, obviously, but it's impossible to become perfect in ballet, right? There's always
Mm.
a critique. So I grew up in that world and I was always critiqued when I was little. Like I was started ballet when I was, out of the womb. I basically was born into it.
Yeah.
So it's, so to receive a compliment is like you like like why would you why um and
Yeah.
that can't possibly be true. And then I guess the real way I receive compliments is not spoken, it like I,
Mm.
I hear it but I never absorb it. The
Okay.
way I only ever absorb compliments, and I must work on this with my therapist, is like through applause. Because
Oh,
I grew
that's
up on
interesting.
stage, yeah.
Wow, that validation of the
That's the
the
validation.
skin touching each other.
That's the validation. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like that's I'm
'Cause
like,
that's kind of the only compliment you get in the ballet world really is just the applause. There's not
yeah.
really any other specifics aside from the critique.
No, why would
I
they
know it's such an intense world.
yeah, why would they ever say, "Oh, that's a beautiful développé." No, they're like, "If you
Mm.
do this, it'll go even higher,"
Yeah.
There's, like, always something to work on in the ballet world. It is wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know to an intense level that to be true. I mean, not personally, I'm not wearing ballet slippers right now. I'd honestly break both my legs and fall onto my face, and they'd have a lot of critiques with me, we'll say, Lena. But I was interested in how your relationship has changed with perfectionism over the years as you've entered this industry in many different ways,
Mm.
because I think a lot of us struggle with that, right? You're self-taping and you're like, my lighting's not perfect. I look like a Muppet, which I always do anyway. And like, I love that. Actually, it's fine. There's a million things going through your head as an artist. So to have even someone else saying that, I'm sure growing up made your relationship with perfectionism trickier. I don't know. Don't want to put words in your mouth, but
It did, yeah, and you're right. Like, as an artist, we strive for this idea of perfection that doesn't exist. An idea of the perfect performance, it doesn't exist. We cannot objectively see what we do because we are inside of ourselves and we know the mechanisms of how we perform.
mm,
So to us, when we see our work, let's say with a self tape, or anytime I see myself back on screen or hear myself back singing, um, my my lived perception of what happened is a completely different thing than the perception of what I'm watching.
mm,
And it's such a disconnect because it feels one way, and then when you watch it, it looks a completely different way, and you're like,
yeah.
"Ugh, that's so bad," right? Because it doesn't match whatever you think is going on in your head. And so because it's like a mismatch, it's never good enough. It'll never be good enough.
Yeah.
And so I found that if I have a lot of grace for myself now because when I watch something, I go, "That's fine." You know what I mean? Just go. It's fine. Nope.
Yeah.
Just look,
Yep.
like especially
Yeah.
a self tape. If I make it through the scene, and I make it through the scene and it's kind of connected and it felt good, then I usually like I'll briefly watch it back, but I won't get really into it, and I'll be like, it's
Mm.
great, it's fine, just moving on.
Okay, I need to learn that from you because we can enter that self-tape spiral where it's like you're on take number 27 and your reader who like is probably your partner, whoever you're living with, is like, I'm about to leave this relationship. But you're like, I can get one more, you know?
Right, yeah. And the problem with that is I feel that when you get overly into your head, then your
Hmm.
intuitions stop doing what they do so well. Our intuitions can take a scene and interpret a scene in like the purest sense. So your first few takes are going to be kind of the best. And
Mm,
then as you go further into the, oh, I want to fix it, I want to fix it, because you keep watching back, you lose a sense of that your initial response to the scene, and there it becomes more robotic or it becomes more acted, quote unquote, right?
mm,
Whereas when if you do it kind of willy-nilly and you're searching for the words and you're trying to figure out what the scene is, that in and of itself is you're so present in the moment and you're so trying to figure out what the scene is, and you're so like that you're there, you're in it, and it's just these intentions that just come flying out, and you because you're so overthinking about everything else and the logistics of it. You're not it there's so much intention there already that you don't have to fight with it. But then when you start like, oh, I know this scene, you get then
yeah.
it just becomes overly thought.
Polished.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then
Yeah, that's so true.
it can lose it can lose the
Like
complexity.
overcooked pasta.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
just gets,
yeah, it gets
yeah,
gushy. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It loses that initial oomph that you have when the energy you have when you're first doing the scene.
I'm gonna Venmo you for acting lessons just now, just so you know. I mean, I think you'd be such a phenomenal acting coach. I know you don't need that. Maybe a side business one day if you're into it.
I might, I might.
Yeah. Listen, helping people, it's a good
I
gig.
love
Thank you for
helping
sharing that.
people.
Yeah.
I want people to like know that, it like that because I went through a struggle with this that and I'm still going through a struggle with this. I am on a, number one TV show on Apple TV Plus.
Which is
This is
so good.
massive, right? This is
Yeah.
massive.
Yep.
And I still struggle. Like, still struggle with the industry, still struggle with acting, still struggle with accepting myself and my talent and the limitations of my talent. Like, I still struggle every single day and I still learn things that I wish I had known 20 years ago. So, for me to give everyone the knowledge if they want to be a sponge and just to like, have that knowledge that I wish I had had 20 years ago, I'm so happy to give it because to me, it brings more joy knowing that someone got a nugget of something that's gonna help them in the long run to, like,
Hmm.
find their way. That to me is, like, the best because 'cause I'd rather give back than to just simply keep taking.
Yeah.
I
And
wanna
hold back.
Yeah, it's like, "If you give me this, then I'll give you all my knowledge," because I just
Mm.
absolutely love to, you know, see if any of this can make a difference in any actor's life so they don't have to deal with some of the stuff I've dealt with and didn't know any better, and there was no one to
Appreciate
tell
that.
me.
Well, so much. I mean, think about growing up and then seeing, watching your favorite TV show and seeing a person on that show, on that number one show, come out and say, I'm still struggling with this. The person over here who's on self tape take number 27 spiraling can say, I'm struggling in a different way,
Yeah.
and it's relatable. It helps us connect. And no matter what sort of level you're on, if you can just be open about that, I think it's kind of why we're here. And,
Yeah.
and in addition to helping others, and before we get into friends and the neighbors, of course, I would love to know, Lena, what is your definition of kindness? And how do you think it's changed over the years?
Ooh, I
My Roomba's
um,
weighing in also as well. I
I
think
like your
Kathy
Roomba.
Najimmy's flying on it. Sorry, Hocus Pocus too. Anyway, okay.
Let's see. What do I think is kindness? I think kindness is selfless acts towards others that will brighten someone's day. I think
Mm,
kindness is having compassion towards someone and empathy towards someone. Kindness is you can be kind towards yourself, so you can show kindness towards yourself with compassion and empathy, and kind acts as well. So there's self kindness and there's kindness to others. kindness can also come in the forms of information that someone really needs in order to make a proper decision in their life, if you have it. So it like the hard truth.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, the tough love.
sometimes tough love is kindness, because maybe you're the only person who's going to be like, hey, you have something black on your teeth.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I hate being that
Do you
person,
know what
but you
I
do
mean?
need that
But
person.
that is kindness, because you're
Yeah.
like looking out for the other person. So there's hard things like that truth, or um that can sometimes be, maybe we feel it's taboo to say something like that, but at the end of the day, you're kind of like looking out for the other person. You got that other person's back. And that to me is really important.
I love that you made that the example. Are you watching Love on the Spectrum? If not,
I'm
everyone, I
obsessed with
recommend it.
I'm obsessed. I haven't watched the new season,
Oh, okay, I won't
but
say it
I
then.
am obsessed with Love on the Spectrum, and I am obsessed with Down for Love.
Down, yes.
Mm, I if
So
I
good.
could live my day with that much beautiful, just wide-eyed wonderment, and it's
Oh,
like
great way to put it.
their insight in the world is just
Yeah.
is gorgeous. It's so simple and loving and kind. Like, that's
Yep.
kindness, right? Down with
And for
love.
all walks of life, it's like, don't forget to ask someone else about their day too. They're teaching them on these dates. And it's like, these are things we all should remember,
Yep. Mhm.
And I brought it up because there is something in the new season with something being on
Oh, on
someone's
someone's
teeth.
teeth. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
won't spoil it, but we also were so lucky. We had Tanner on here a little while ago. I don't know if you
No.
it was probably the best 45 minutes of my life. Besides this, this is great too, and
Oh,
my wedding was fun. But
your wedding was fun.
it was a good
It
time.
was fine,
But
but
yeah,
Tanner.
but he is so just such like a ball of sunshine. And so everybody watch the show if you hadn't. But I would love to know, Lena, starting in your career, were there acts of kindness or a big act of kindness that kind of stands out to you as changing your trajectory early on? Just to kind of fly over as your dog leaves the room. They're like, this is a big question. I need to go. I'm sure there were a lot, but I would love to know if there was a way kindness sort of transformed the journey you were on.
Um, hmm. Um,
From Cats to
I
Hedwig to
know. It's just terrible. Well, kindness.
can also be like a self-kindness because I think kindness gets like a puppies and rainbow rep.
Yeah, that's why, because it's complicated, which is why I'm trying to wrap my head around this question. It's a complicated
Yeah.
question because kindness comes in so many different forms, whether
Hmm.
that's like the kindness of the the creative team that sat there and, like, one guy. So my first show was Cats. It was the national touring company of Cats, and I went to an open call in San Francisco. The
Mm.
kindness of my friend calling me, who was like, "You need to get your ass here now because they're having auditions for women at 1, and it's like 12 o'clock. Can you get here?" And so, like,
Yeah.
the kindness of my friend being like, "You need to come," to the kindness of the creative team. There apparently, I remember this, one of the guys who was on the creative team, he had to leave
Mm.
early, but he stayed for my entire callback and missed his flight just because he wanted
Wow.
to see me perform these like long 3 songs. This little, I was a little girl. I was 17 years old, and this guy sat there and stayed, and that act of just waiting for me and allowing me to prove myself that I could do something like that, for this guy to be like, yes, her. Another act of kindness to miss your flight for that. Like,
Mm.
and because I will say that was probably the biggest that was my life altering thing, was booking the touring company of Cats,
Mm.
because I wasn't planning on going into the industry. I wasn't planning on going into dance or theater, or it was always just going to be something I did on the side. And I was
But
in
the
a,
TV film thing at first was like, didn't you have a crush on someone? And you
yes,
were like,
yeah,
but I
yes.
do
That's what
just
I
want to be
wanted.
famous to marry this person.
Correct. Yeah, Jonathan Brandis.
Okay, shout out.
Yeah, shout out Jonathan Brandis. We
JB.
miss you. And
Oh.
I I wanted to be on TV because I wanted to meet him and marry him. Like that was my, goal in life. But, to do musical theater and to perform on stage, I did not think it was something that I could do viably as a career. So I had graduated high school early and I was kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. I didn't take the SATs. I didn't apply for any colleges because I
Mm,
was kind of in a phase of like, what is it that I want to do? What am I good at and what brings me joy? For a while, I thought maybe I would be like a therapist or a psychiatrist or something like that, where I would help people because I was very curious about how people are and their psyche and like how, like what they're driven by. Like people fascinate me and still do. But, again, I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And then my friend called me and I went to this audition randomly. And
yeah.
then 3 months later, like right after my 18th birthday, it changed my trajectory of my life completely.
Wow.
Hmm.
So just picking up the phone and calling people when you think of them can
Yeah,
change someone's whole
exactly.
life. Instead
Yes.
of that person, I mean, I have ADHD, so it's a little hard, but instead of that person just kind of, saying, oh, like,
Oh,
I
so
don't
and
want to
so should be
overstep or
here.
whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's okay to give your friends a heads up if they're perfect for something. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's not a competition. Really,
Yeah.
honestly, it is not a competition. If your friends excel because you were like, I'm auditioning for this, but you'd be so much better in this, or you should come in with me, or we could do this together. Like, who cares? Like, if you don't, it doesn't matter if you don't book it and they do. Like, I
Yeah.
don't see there's no problem in that because it's like, there's a everybody's on their own journey. Their
Yeah.
success is different. Everyone's success is completely different. And you have to be okay with going on the journey that you're going on,
Mm.
even if it means that you're not going to get to a place where you thought you would.
Oh, and there's room for everybody.
Mm,
And there's actually science that shows that kindness does come back to you. It is contagious and it does come back. And it's not why we do it. But I've had instances where I had an audition and, the same thing happened. I'm like, my friend would be so much better for this. I sent it to them. And then casting actually remembers you as being sort of like a kind human.
mm.
Like it does come back to you. Again, not why you do it.
Okay, so if there's something behind it where
Yeah.
there's like, oh, I'm going to get something back if I do this, then that's actually not kindness. That's a transaction. And,
Yeah.
and kindness is not a transaction.
Mm.
Kindness is one way.
Oh, I like that.
Right? So
Yeah.
there's no getting anything. And yes, it is reciprocal and it does change. What it does is it kind of changes your perspective of the world. The kinder you
Mhm.
are and the more giving and loving and compassionate you are, you kind of your vision of the world will shift into that and
Yeah.
you will see the world as kinder and more compassionate and more loving to you and it
Yeah.
will open you up for those opportunities and you'll kind of be more free to that when you're more focused on like they have more than I do and it's a competition and
Mhm.
this is so hard and it's that and everybody sucks. Guess what's going to come? That energy is going to come right to you and guess what? It is going to
Yeah.
suck. It won't be like it will like it would. So I think in when kindness is done where it's like in a transactional sense where you're expecting something to come back to you,
Mhm.
then that's kind of it that sends it on a negative swing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not the best intention or genuine. It's sort of like just being quote unquote nice maybe or polite
Yeah.
and a little could be manipulative.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
love that you bring that up because it's sort of like watching your friends on a TV show or on Broadway, whatever it is, being so excited for them and thinking, I'm excited for when that happens to me versus being jealous and maybe going down a different path. I
Mm,
think that mindset's super important.
mhm.
And as we bring up Broadway, we're the Broadway Podcast Network. So before we get to Apple, we'll start at the B before we go to the A, which is backwards, but it's okay. It's A-okay. I think people would troll me if I did not just ask you about Hedwig for a second,
Ah,
which
yes.
as a kid, I would see the billboards and I didn't understand why it wasn't about Harry Potter's owl, but that's not my question. Because that could be an angry inch if you look at the author of that. But you delivered, such a vulnerable performance kind of night after night. I wonder how I guess, kindness, whether it was from others or toward yourself, played a role in sustaining you through that like emotional, intense show.
Oh, well, this is the opposite of kindness. So
Okay. That's still a learning experience.
it is, yeah. I was very unkind to myself during that time
Mm,
period. I was drinking heavily. I was doing drugs a lot, and I was spiraling into a really dark place, which is odd to think because you would think that, oh, you won a Tony Award, this must have been the greatest thing of your life. And it was a huge accomplishment. And I'm so grateful for that. And it was a highlight. But underneath the surface of everything was a real dark struggle that was going on, where I was struggling at home. I was struggling with, you know, with kind of the substance abuse of it all. And then on stage, I was beating myself up in my head. And that to me, I was like, in the character, the character is a very beaten down person, and only until they are let go and let free are they able to be themselves and have this journey and transformation. And what I was doing was I was feeling like it was okay to treat myself horribly like this because it was part of the character and it made it more real. And so I was hurting myself. I was not taking care of myself. I was completely burning the candle at both ends. I had very little, to give, and emotionally I was extremely unstable. And so I was making really weird choices that I probably wouldn't make if I could do it all over again, but in a sober state.
mm,
And but with all of that said, it created an a relatable character for everyone, where you saw someone who was really going through it and you really believed it and you really wanted this person to get out of this situation and to become who they really are and want to be. And um and by that I connected with a lot of people, which was really special. And I think the Hedwig community is one of those extremely special communities that, it's small but mighty. The people
yeah.
who have been touched and have related to Hedwig and the story of Hedwig and the story of Yitzhak are forever and like forever fans and forever obsessed with the
Yeah.
show, and will always be affected anytime they see the show or hear the show or any iteration of the show. So I think that, like, as far as kindness is concerned, um, yeah, there was kindness thrown to me, but because of the situation and because of what I was doing to myself, I didn't see it.
Mhm.
Nick, I was blind to it because to me
Yeah.
it was all about this character. It was all about, and I was making the character my life unintentionally.
Yeah.
And, kind of living in the misery of this fight where, I would spend my days hungover and then I would go and do a show that night just completely ruined and exhausted. And then after that, like this is during this time, like, and then after
Yeah.
that night of doing the show, I would go and I would do a night show, a late night show with my band, and then I would drink and then I would be hungover the next day. And it was kind of this thing that just was spiraling totally out of control.
Yeah.
And if I could do that all over again and be sober, it would be a different experience. Of course, I think the character would still be wrought with the pain and everything that you need, because when you live just living life, you'll feel that. You'll
Mhm.
have enough experience no matter what happens to your life. You have enough experience to be able to play a character. It's really,
Mhm.
really true. I mean, if you've ever felt out of place or like you're not in your own skin, or like you've been abused, or like you've been hurt. It doesn't even matter. You could go all the way back to being a child, like a really little child. Someone took away your doll, and you can use that
Yeah.
emotion for abandonment or for or your parents were supposed to pick you up from school and they forgot. And you
Hmm.
can use that. Like you can use all of it. So you don't need a ton of life experience in order to infuse a character with truth.
Yeah.
Um, and I wasn't figuring that out that well.
Yeah.
And and so now if I went back and I played Yitzhak again but sober, I would have a different experience with it, and definitely wouldn't put myself through some of the hell that I put myself through. And it wasn't for the art. It was to beat myself down because the character
Mm.
is so beaten down. It was like it was not conscious, it was not intentional, but it was doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you went through that, first of all,
Oh
but I
no.
appreciate you sharing it. And I love that you kind of put the emphasis on how it helped people. You
Yeah.
said it helped me connect with people and it helps people feel seen.
Hmm.
And I think that speaks to who you are, probably the fact that that's your takeaway. It's a lesson a lot of actors, I think, have to learn. And it's really interesting hearing it from you that it was during that time of winning a Tony where a lot of us might think, I'll finally be kind to myself when I get that acknowledgement. And it's like, maybe I think awards are great in the sense that it does give you something to strive for, but it's not necessarily going to change your mindset.
Yeah. Sometimes it can do bad things,
Mm,
interestingly enough. It can inflate those around you into thinking
mm,
that you can't do this job, you can't do that job, or you're a Tony Award winner, of course you can't do that. And it's like,
yeah.
well, what if I want to do that? What if that's something that I want to do? It's like, why can't I do that? Or, well, people are going to think that you're struggling, or people are going to think this. You need to keep up the idea that you're, unattainable and that people are going to want you more and da da da. And it's like, it can have a negative effect, interestingly enough.
It's
It can
interesting.
also have an insanely positive effect where it will
Yeah.
open all the doors. So there's a double edge there. There's a real double edge there. So for anyone who's really wanting to win an award and is like gung ho for it and wants it, you have to understand that there are some things that come with it that are a surprise. Like, yeah,
Surprise!
like
Surprise,
yeah, yeah,
surprise!
yeah. I'm like,
Do,
but
do,
I
do, do,
want to
do.
do that,
Yeah.
dumb little role in that show because I want to work.
Yeah.
And they're
And then
like, well,
everyone around you
no,
is like, drink the Kool-Aid. And you're like, no, but I
no, but
kind of want
I,
Sprite or
yeah,
Dr. Pepper.
yeah, I need to work. I want to work. It's not about,
Yeah.
like, for me, it was never about the status, a status symbol of, I have a Tony Award, so you have to treat me like a Tony Award winner. It's like, I won a Tony Award, which is amazing. Like that, it was a confirmation that I was doing a good job at what I do, and that people noticed that,
Hmm.
and that's amazing. But I thrive on working, and I thrive on diving into as many different things as I possibly can because it makes me better at what I do. And for
Yeah.
me, like like, what's the point of just doing what I do and stopping at a certain point that I get to, like, as far as the level of craft that I do? Like, what's the point of getting there and stopping? Like, I want to get there, but I want to keep going. I want to get better. I want to expand the things that I can do and the ways that I can bring character to life. Like, I want to go for it. Like, and I do,
Yeah. Like
yeah,
Dr. Seuss, oh, the places you will go.
right, yeah,
And look
yeah,
where you've gone now. I mean, I
yeah.
got to get to your friends and neighbors, which I'm not just saying this. I mean, I think most of the world is loving this show. It's such a great binge. I do love that we first meet you in this show. We see the contrast of the whole show. It's like you're sitting on this idyllic, beautiful lawn, but then we don't realize you're kind of terrorizing maybe the people in the house in a way. Like it's a different experience for them, which is kind of the show's theme in a sense. It's like you're in this rich neighborhood, but that underbelly is so different. So suffice to say, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm like reviewing the show live to you. I just really do find that your storyline in particular has a lot to do with kindness. Like your
Hmm.
character, Allie, is kind of the heart of the show, at least in what I've seen so far.
Mhm.
Can you just speak to how you fleshed her out? I know you felt connected to her from the moment you got the audition.
Yeah, I think, you could get so just from a like a perspective of connection or the character wise, you can get hung up when a character description says bipolar or says, certain like words that you're like, oh, gotta bipolar, gotta research, it's like you can
Yeah.
get kind of hung up on that when you have to realize that, oh wait, no, this person is a person. It doesn't matter their mental health state. Whatever I need in whatever I need in the scene, it's written in there and I can decipher it. I don't have to go and research how, how it is to be living on this planet when you're bipolar. Because I think everyone's experience is wildly different. There's huge spectrums of that. And so it didn't really come into play because I felt like underneath it all, there's a level of sadness that is just palpable with her. Everything she says and everything she does, there's a level of like, well, this is who I am and that's okay. And she is just living through life, dealing, just trying to feel like normal. Like, aren't we all just trying to feel normal? Like, aren't we all just trying to feel normal? Like,
If it even exists,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. What is normal? But so,
Yeah.
her,
Not me.
yeah, exactly. Like, um, so she struggles with that. There's that internal thing in there, and I relate so much to the struggle of just wanting to like feel like I'm normal, like feel like like I can function on a daily basis like everyone else seems to do, but somehow I sit here and I feel like stuck on something or dragged down by something that I feel like everyone else could just be fine with. And like, why do I have a hard time with this? Why can't I deal with this? Why aren't I normal?
No, I get that.
Yeah. So for her, the just the opening of being sitting on a lawn and playing Fake Plastic Trees by Radiohead, it's such a tell for the character. It's such a great introduction to her. Because that song can say it all.
Mm,
And the band, the Radiohead, it says it all. Like the angst of it, the sadness of it, the confusion of it, and the fighting with itself. That I'm a Radiohead fan, so for me it spoke volumes. And then the rest of the scene, I could just be, you know, that little sister who's kinda like, "Oh, hey, what's up?"
mhm.
I'm kinda melancholy right now, and, like, I'm feeling it, "How are
Yeah.
you?" Like,
Yeah.
it's like a
It's very like Ophelia in a way, to bring it to Shakespeare, like meeting her in the field sitting there. And I love how you're not leading, like you said, with the disease, but instead just showing this person reacting in any given moment. They just have a different, set of paintbrushes than the rest of us, and they're a
Yeah.
lot more colorful. And sometimes there's knives inside
Yeah.
the brush.
Exactly. Yeah,
But
exactly, yeah. There's nothing
yeah,
that is, you know, that it's like it's just it's just living in a world that is set up for someone else and trying to navigate that. And there's so many people who feel that way. I feel
love
like
on the spectrum. We
ev
talked about it
right,
before. They say
yeah.
that a lot on that show.
Yeah, I feel like everyone has something where they feel like they function in a way that is not set up for them. It's set up
Mhm.
for someone else, the normal people, quote unquote, which doesn't really exist. And and so therefore, I feel like Allie is a highly relatable character because we're all just trying to survive in this world, and the world is difficult. It's just difficult, and
Yeah.
you see people who have their lives seemingly together and you think that you want that, but really they're also struggling too. So that, and you don't have to give it a name. Like, you don't have to give it a name like bipolar or like autism or any of that
Mhm.
or depression or anything. I think it's like a universal feeling of everyone feeling like we're just trying to survive in this world and put one foot in front of the other and deal with a world that is set up for someone else.
That's brilliant. What's the song you put one foot in front of the other? It's like the Christmas
Oh,
movie. Put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking out the door.
yeah.
You have this. I'm gonna save that and post it at Christmas time. You have this.
Yeah.
Probably gonna forget. You have this beautiful moment with Jon Hamm. I mean, many in the show, but early on in the show, where you basically say you come to his house and you say, "Hey, you might think that you suck at life, but in the brother department, you're pretty amazing."
Yeah.
And I just like found that so touching, and it made me wonder. Did you 2 like, that, like, took my breath away to see that, I think, because 'cause I'm a brother, I don't know.
Mhm.
Did you 2 have the time to develop that relationship, or is that just natural chemistry?
It's our natural chemistry. Like we did a chemistry read when I got a call back, which was a shock. Trust, it was a shock. Because I hadn't been booking anything for a long time. I was going through the long where you're like, another self tape. I'm not gonna get this. I'll just put myself on
Yeah.
tape really quick. Just do a real quick,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, I'm just gonna say I did it, put it out there. It was one of those.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, what?
Yeah.
And they did a chemistry check with me and John over Zoom, which is hilarious.
Mm.
And they were like, "Yeah, you got it." I was like, "Oh, okay. This is
Wow.
wild. What?" So when we went to go film, honestly, it was like setting up this chemistry with John was pretty instantaneous when we met because he feels to me for me, I don't know his thing. Maybe it was really hard for him. I don't know, but for me, it was easy because
I have a transcript from here. Let me, from him, let me read it. No.
because for me it was an immediate sense of home and big brother, like
Mm.
protection. So that big brother protection, I felt like I got a hug and I was like, okay, yeah, this is an openness and there's just an openness to chemistry. There's an openness there that it's hard to explain, but if you're working on chemistry with someone and you have one person who's like kind of,
Yeah.
it's impossible to have chemistry with that person because they are walled.
Yeah, it's
There's
like
like
Molly Shannon in Superstar with the tree. Although the tree doesn't I don't know if you've seen that scene, but the oh, you gotta watch
I
Superstar if you haven't seen
know.
it.
Oh my
It's so good.
God.
Okay, sorry, I'm just being a Muppet now, but I
Right.
know what you're
You
saying.
know what I'm saying? Right. So
Yeah.
when you try to have chemistry with someone, I did have that experience where it was like, hey, and they were like over here. And I'm like,
Oh,
how do
no,
I
yeah.
can't? Oh, we're never gonna, this is impossible. Like,
Yeah.
hi, I'm here. I'm open, open.
Yep.
So just the simple fact that he's a very giving actor and
Mm.
he's very open and he'll go there with you. He'll just start riffing off things and going off book and that, but
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, all right, yeah, let's riff. Let's do this. I'm on the same page as you. It's like a match of energy. So it was instantaneous, like the chemistry and the setup and the feeling like this guy, who I had just met was my brother forever. It was fast and easy and kindness.
Well,
Like,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about kindness with someone so sort of iconic. I mean, this actor it has done such amazing things. People all over the world know him, and I just wonder too, as a number one on the call sheet, are there things you witnessed that you really appreciated from like a kindness standpoint?
Yeah, actually. He's not okay, so there's a lot of people who are like, "I'm not gonna take a note from another actor."
Mm.
A lot of people are like, "I'm not taking a note from another." I'm like, no. Like, you have to work together. You
It's a
cannot
team.
always have a director come to you and be like, "How can I help?" You've got to be open to that. And so anytime John was like, "Oh, hey, could you just like wait a second so I can finish this move so we can have that line in the clear, blah blah blah." I mean, he's like been doing this forever. I'm like, oh yeah, totally, no problem. Like, absolutely, of course. I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here for you,
Mm.
and he would do the same for me. Like, if I asked for anything that I needed, he would do the same for me. So, and it opened the stage for me to ask questions as well. So it creates this trust, an actor
Mm.
trust, where you're like, I trust that you are gonna tell me what you need. Yeah, I trust that you are know your shit enough, like that you're gonna deliver and I can feed off of your delivery and we can kind of feed the energy back and forth, and that's gonna kind of create this symbiosis with the chemistry and with what
Yeah.
we need to create. So I think with John, I mean, he's been doing it for so long. He's very professional, no nonsense, love that. But he's also open, free, and honest. And that
Mm.
honesty that I experienced helped me trust and and that instant connection came from just the open and honesty and the trust. Like, I got this, you got this, we got this. And now we're gonna like improv some stuff and we'll have some fun with it here and have some fun. I'm like, who cares? Yeah, how are you? Great. Yeah. So it just is like it's a relaxation that happens with the trust. And I also have scenes with Ramin Karimloo,
Hmm.
who I've done something with before. And so we had to have all this chemistry, and that was super easy because it was just like, oh my God, hey, how are you? Okay.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. It's like but when I met Ramin, I remember being like, oh, you're open. Like, I can
Yeah.
feel how open you are to wanting to have the chemistry and doing a good job with it.
Yeah.
Just,
You don't need to find a key to try
no,
and pick someone's lock. I
yeah,
think that's awesome.
it should be like, just if you remain open as an actor and you're like, you can try, it's almost like you're opening up to be like, I'm going to open up to you because I want you to trust me.
Mm.
You know? There. That
Yeah.
it's like it's not a gift, it's an invitation, essentially.
Oh,
Yep.
I love that. Well, we all have an invitation to keep watching the show because it already got renewed, which is wild. And I think speaks to the kind of show it is. I don't know if I have an invitation to ever see Ramin again because I was a reader at ABC and he came into audition, which was cool to see because he was a big Broadway star and he was going in for a role when a ton of people were going and he was nervous, whatever. And I came out and I was just like, ramen,
Oh
kiramalu.
no.
And he was really nice about it. But I actually didn't know. I think he was in Les Mis at the time. I hadn't seen it. I don't know. I'm the worst.
It's okay.
It's tricky because you don't want to over like research people because you want to meet people as
Yeah.
people, but you want to know things,
It's
whatever.
okay. You know what? It's okay. It's
Thank you. Thank you,
okay.
Lina. Thank you, Lina.
Trust, people do it all the time.
Really?
All the time. Lena.
Lena. I always get a Where's Mary because my last name's Peter Paul and it's like Peter Paul and Mary. And I'm like, she died, actually, the Mary in our family.
Well,
Anyway.
you're like, my mom's name was Mary. She's dead.
Oh,
They'll be like,
yeah.
you're like, I'm fine.
There's like a twin of me suddenly with a knife. It's like, what's going on there? I'm gonna walk away.
Yeah.
So, you sing in the show, and I wonder, because we are the Broadway Podcast Network, like, do you think this show could be a musical? I know that's a weird random question. Guessing you haven't gotten it before, but I want to know.
I don't want it to be a musical. Can we
With rock
stop
music?
making everything musicals? I'm
I know.
so
I know.
exhausted by it. Not that it's fine because it's not made for me. Like, these shows are not made for me to watch, which is
Mm.
fine because I can't
Yeah.
anymore. I
Well, I've heard you say like a show will find its audience, and if it's a good show, it'll last with that audience.
Yeah, it's true.
So
Look at
yeah.
Stereophonic as a great example. A 3.5 hour play. A 3.5 hour play.
I heard it
Honey,
was good.
yeah, 3.5 hours. I remember when I heard it was 3.5, I was like, oh God, right?
Yeah.
Because no one wants to see a 3.5 hour play.
I know, A
With
Long Day's Journey into Night with
no,
Jessica Lange. I
well,
did want to watch her, but it was a long day's journey. I'm just gonna say that.
but this is okay, so 3.5 hour play, first barrier. No stars, second barrier. Not a known IP, third barrier. Sells out, huge hit. I went and saw it. I thought it was incredible.
Wow.
and that 3.5 hours, I was like, I could watch this for 6.
That's amazing.
It's so good and it was so well done. And that's the thing. Not all the producers actually. There was actually a producer apparently that pulled out from funding the Off-Broadway because they were like, if you don't cast a star, I am not going to fund this show. And they didn't. They were like, no, we don't want a star in it.
Wow.
We want the show to speak for itself. That's what I think ultimately what happened with Hedwig was after they had established it as this big, huge thing with Neil Patrick Harris in it, they
Mhm.
forgot to focus on how good the show is. It
Mm.
doesn't need a star. You
Yeah.
don't need a star to sell Hedwig.
Yeah.
The show is so good you don't need a star to sell that show. And so I think
Yeah.
they lost sight. They got the star thing and then they got trapped in the trappings of like must have a star. Instead of being like Neil Patrick Harris is amazing. Now let's focus on how incredible this show is. Let's focus on
Mm.
how incredible everybody else is in the show. Let's focus on how beautiful and how much you must see the show no matter who is in it. So, because the
That's
show
really interesting.
yeah, because I think you can get stuck in the trappings of, well, you have to hire a star in order to sell tickets. But if,
It's tricky because on the opposite side too, I want to shout out, Little Shop, I think is actually doing a great job of it's an iconic show and people want to see that show, but they're also putting in very surprising people for the roles that we've come to know and love. And I think that's a cool sweet spot in this current industry where again, everything's being made into a musical.
Mm,
They want the IP or they want like a big name when there's no work anywhere. So like George
right.
Clooney's coming to
Yeah, yeah,
Broadway and all these
yeah,
people.
yeah.
And so it is sort of a tricky thing.
It is. There's a sweet spot. And I think that
Yeah.
the hard thing with a show like Hedwig, like with Seymour and with Audrey, you can kind of get by with having people who are known entities but maybe aren't the greatest.
Hmm.
It's like it's not a hugely heavy lift, but
Yeah.
when you get someone good in there, it's great. And you can stunt cast kind of like I say stunt cast, but they've been doing a good job casting like great people for Little Shop.
Yeah.
It's not, it is stunt casting, but it isn't like
Like
it's
surprising a
not
little bit.
bad. Like it's not like they're
Yeah.
not like bad. They're actually all really great. Um Whereas a show like Hedwig is
Yeah.
so hard for the one person on the stage.
Yeah.
You have to have someone who is so good. And
Mhm.
that's hard to find. That small, tiny little talent pool of famous people who can do that, sing that, and pull that off 8 shows a week is nil. So you run out of people so fast. You run out of people so fast. Anyway,
Yeah. I know. Okay, but I do have to play really quickly before you go this surprise game.
okay.
I'm sorry, Lena or Lina. It's called the compliment game. Basically, I reached out. I found someone in your life to give a compliment about you.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to read it to you, and you have to guess who said it. And you can ask me yes or no questions. I don't really know anything, but I'll try.
Everyone is beautiful in their own way. It's the compliment game on the A-OK. It's the compliment game.
Lena is relentless, resilient, and best of all, she's never let an opinion get in the way of doing what feels right to her. I guess fearless is the word. And I have a hint too, if you need it.
Is it Michael Mayer?
Oh, but I do love Michael Mayer.
Because I remember he called me fearless. You have a hint?
This is like a personal connection we had because it was too short to go through the teams of it all.
So
So,
it's not my publicist.
oh, well, we do love Lisa.
I love
Hey,
Lisa.
hey, baby girl. She's such a shark. What an icon, honestly.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
love
gosh.
her.
I love working with her. She's amazing. Okay, wait, I'm going to pull up the hints here. So it's interesting that we both are in Connecticut right now. I'll say maybe that's a
Is it
hint.
Patti LuPone?
Oh, no. That would be cool.
Because she's in Connecticut.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
I
wait,
sense her all the
not Patti
time.
LuPone. Like,
So you've created art with this person. You enjoy their writing. I think they've been in your life for a bit. You can ask me a yes or no question.
Stephen Trask? No.
It's getting closer.
Oh, it is. It's not getting closer.
No, it is.
Oh, it is.
No, sorry, I can't control my face,
John
Lena.
Cameron
Like,
Mitchell?
no.
No.
I'll say the name was getting closer.
Stephen Amato?
Yeah,
Oh,
Stephen
how do you know
Amato.
Stephen Amato?
I did Joseph with his wife,
Okay.
and he came to see it,
Oh
and then
my
we became
God.
friends. Yeah,
Yeah. Shit, I've
yeah.
known him forever.
I know. I was supposed to come see the show you guys did together, and he was
Oh
like, interview Lena,
no.
and then we couldn't make it happen. I think you were out of town and whatever, but
Going through a lot.
I'm sure. But yeah, I know you produce a lot of your own concerts and everything, which is so exciting. And so we'll give Steven a shout out for that
Sweet,
as he
yeah.
starts his own theater company.
Yeah. Absolutely, 100%.
What a legend.
I know.
Well, I know I got to let you go, Lena.
Okay.
Can you please just share a kindness tip for listeners? So can you leave us with something you would like everybody out there to do on their own corner of the world, just like to take action and try and make the world a little brighter overall?
Okay. Heavy question.
I know. I'm
How
sorry.
to be kind. Honestly, it's be a listener. Just be a listener. Because a lot of times people just need someone who can really listen.
Hmm.
And they don't need a fix. They don't need suggestions. They don't need help. The help is the listening. And you can learn a lot if you just listen to someone.
That's so beautiful. I'm going to write that down and print it on my wall and look at it.
Oops.
Boop, boopy doo. That's kind of what Jon does for you, and to bring it back to your show a little bit. Like, he doesn't seem, at least this point forward, trying to fix Allie. He seems like he's just kind of there for her.
Yeah.
A safe place to land.
Yeah.
Which is a beautiful place for us to land.
Yes.
And I've so enjoyed this time with you, Lena. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
I'm grateful that we have you to look up to in this business. Because I think you're doing great stuff.
Thank you, Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Oh, thank you, Lina.
Until next time, remember, everything is gonna be A-okay.